Watch Dr. Drew's new show at 9 on HLN. Weeknights on HLN.
Back with criminal defense attorney Mark Eiglarsh. Joining us now is Lisa Bloom. She's an attorney and best-selling author of Think. And look what the wind blew into town tonight. There's Think, Lisa Bloom's book. Leonard Padilla, bounty hunter that bailed Casey out of jail in 2008.
I didn't approve this. What is this?
Look what we've done, folks. We have put them and sat them next to one another.
There you go. Yeah. I can tell you everything. Leave it on. There you go.
I was in the house for 5 minutes. I could tell you everything.
There you go.
Conspiracy.
Is that where the answers come from? You put the
Right,
magic
it's
hat
in the
on.
hat.
You've got all the answers to this case.
That's all right.
There you go. You don't want to mess up Mark's hair now. Leonard, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Lisa, great to see you as well. Now, Cindy Anthony took the stand again today and said that this about an alleged incident involving her son Lee and her daughter Casey. Take a look.
Mrs. Anthony, do you recall several years back when there was an incident involving your son Lee going into Casey's room at night?
Yes, no.
No.
All right, Lisa Bloom, I want to start with you because once I start with these two guys, I'm going to lose control of the show. So, Lisa, let's talk. Let's talk about what Cindy Anthony was asked there, which is about sexual molestation. I think it's clear to a lot of people there's some secret in this family. Does your intuition or anything that you've heard inside that courtroom tell you that there was sexual molestation?
You know, I don't believe that, Vinny. I'm a lawyer, you're a lawyer. I look for evidence. A lot of people say, oh, this family, they have all these secrets and lies, and this is terrible family. I don't happen to agree with that. I think there's one person in this family who has a lot of problems, who's probably very emotionally disturbed, and who's a sociopath, and that's Casey Anthony. George, I think, is the bedrock of the family. I think he came across very well today. I think Cindy has come across well, although she's had some problems. I think Lee has come across very well. I wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater and indict all of this family. And I don't see any evidence of sexual abuse that hasn't been brought forth in this trial. So how anyone conclude that is beyond me.
All right, hey, Leonard, I want to go to you on this one because you were inside that house. You got to know them.
More than 5 minutes, I might want to tell you.
More than
the
5
man
minutes.
ain't got his facts
Just
right.
answer the damn
He ain't got the facts right.
Any evidence, anything that you saw that sent off some signal that there was something terrible taking place in that house that may have been sexual abuse?
No.
Whether it's George, Lee?
No, not from Lee. Definitely not from George. Absolutely nothing like that whatsoever. No.
George's character. How would you characterize George? I mean, you got to know him a little bit. How would you describe this man?
George is 3 people in one. Retired cop, homicide, knows what happened. Father of a daughter that's a nut. Grandfather of a child that he loved dearly. Conflicted constantly.
Absolutely conflicted. Here's the one question. Are you going to keep your arm around Mark for the whole segment? Can we take a shot
I don't get
For the love of God, enough already.
Yeah, it's my
Can we have a
kid.
serious discussion?
He's my kid.
Go
I
ahead.
lost him years ago.
Let's talk about Roy Kronk, okay?
Please.
Let's talk about Roy Kronk because Roy Kronk testified about where he went in the woods, why he went there to relieve himself. He said he never called his son, Brandon Sparks, and told him in November that he was going to be on TV sometime in December. Let's take a look at some of the testimony from the courtroom, then we're going to talk about it.
You're telling me now that you completely deny making a phone call to your son at all in November?
My son was mistaken about that phone call. That phone call never happened. What I told him is I called him on December 11th.
He told me that he knew where the remains were.
And when did he tell you this?
This was in November 2008.
Who's telling the truth here? Who's telling the truth?
That was a moment. That was absolutely a moment for the defense. Sparks made it very clear that the father called him a month before, and he looked like he was credible. I don't know if he's accurate, but he looked believable. And then I say, okay, so what?
I'm listening to your answer, but I want to know what he has to say.
Oh,
you know why? Because he looks like he's questioning what you're saying.
Let him question.
Okay.
The bottom line is, then I sit back and say, you know what? They don't have to prove this case beyond all doubt, just beyond a reasonable doubt. And there's always going to be questions in every single case. And Kronk had no contact with the Anthonys. You can't take the leap that somehow he then disposes of the body or does something. it just isn't
But is
there.
he, all right, Leonard.
I agree with it.
You agree? You agree that?
No
Oh,
contact.
come on.
Had no
That's the
contact.
best you got?
No contact with the Anthonys. But he did talk to his son because I was in constant contact with his son, Crystal, and his sister. And I gave all my notes and all my information to Baez way back.
How do you explain the call 1 month earlier? I'm just wondering,
Did Kronk have control of the remains?
No. He
No.
had the information as to where the remains were.
Oh, here we go again.
And
He
that
had the
information
information.
came
And law
from where?
enforcement knew as well. Are you still
It
going
had
with
to
that
come.
line?
It had to come through his girlfriend who works at the jail.
Why isn't she going to testify in court? You gave all your notes to Jose
Because
Baez.
it doesn't help his story,
Because
and it
it's
certainly
like unicorns.
Because it doesn't help Jose
Manufactured,
because
it's
it came from
fairy
Casey is what you're saying.
It
Yes.
sells books. Yeah,
yes,
gotcha, Len.
because when the information was given by Casey to the attorney, what's he supposed to do? I don't know what Florida law is. You tell me. What is it
So
in
you
Florida?
mean to tell me someone at the jail overhears this conversation? Again, you have no proof of it. It's pure speculation, correct? And then somehow they know. Law enforcement now knows where the body is. There's hundreds of people literally dealing with rattlesnakes, heat, exhaustion. They're out there all day. And law enforcement's just sitting on it, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for something.
Let me
That's
do
your
this. Let
theory?
me do this.
Am I
Let me do
off?
this.
You going to put somebody's pension on the line?
I don't know what that means, but is that what
Lisa
you're saying? You're still
Bloom,
sticking with that.
make the call here, Lisa. I want you to judge the credibility, not of the witnesses in the court, but the credibility of Leonard Padilla and Mark Eiglarsh. Who should we believe
Oh,
here?
don't make me jump in on that one. Boy, that's a tough one. I'll tell you this. I think there's
Lisa's a
something very
best-selling
strange
author.
about Roy
Her book
Kronk
is fabulous.
and his story.
Her book is
There's
fabulous.
something very
Go ahead,
strange, but I
Lisa.
don't think it adds up to much in this trial. I think maybe he did know where the remains were, remove the remains. I don't know. We don't have proof of that in this trial, but I don't think it undermines the strong prosecution case against Casey Anthony at this point.
Yeah, and Leonard, here's the thing, though, Leonard. In court, I heard Kronk's buddy say it was his idea to pull over in the shade. So if it's not even Roy Kronk's idea to pull over in the shade and just stop for a few minutes when he goes to relieve himself, is he lying?
That's a situation that's always...
Or is that a coincidence?
I don't know, because I did talk to Dean several times. He's from Merced, California originally. And he's the one that brought the snake back, and he's the one that had it in the freezer. But think about this. It took me a week to convince the FBI that the snake was in that man's freezer because they didn't
wouldn't
want to
believe you.
it. No.
So you got to
And
believe
finally
this
they
guy,
went out
Mark.
there. They finally went out and knocked on the door.
Believe
And now
the
they got
hat.
the
Why
snake.
is he doing all this?
Who?
What are you?
Me?
Who hires you? What are you doing? You bonded her out.
The big
What's all
question
this?
is why is he wearing black tonight? You can hardly see, you don't see anything but the whites of his eyes
Yeah, that's more
tonight.
important, Vin.